Hey there, my name is Felix, otherwise known as Frog, and today's going to be a bit of a different video as I want to kind of look back at my 2022 and maybe pat myself on the back a little bit. First off, though, I've got to say happy holidays to everyone watching. This should come out around maybe Christmas Day or something like that, not too sure. Um, but yeah, I just want to go back over my 2022 because in general, I'd say I'm a pretty pessimistic person. I tend to see the glass half empty, but I always try to push myself to see the positive out of any given situation. And when I come to this time of the year, it's the end of the year. I look back and I go, oh, what have I done this year? A lot of the times I don't feel particularly proud of myself. But I think looking back at 2022, really thinking about it, I've actually accomplished a bunch of stuff that I should be proud of. And hopefully that inspires somebody else out there who kind of feels the same way as me and who's often like, oh, what have I done this year? It's just another year. I've gotten a year older. I was a little bit grumpy. To actually appreciate everything that you might have done as well. Um, so to start things off, I guess this YouTube channel, the channel itself has existed for a little bit, but I wasn't uploading or anything on it. But coming into this year, I wanted to try it. I grew up watching YouTube like most people my generation, but like I never really dabbled in content creation all too much. At least not in a video format. And it was something that I kind of just wanted to try this year. I think ultimately, I wouldn't say it's a success or anything. My upload schedule is very sporadic, but I can still be quite happy with the kind of content I've produced, and it's like a good benchmark to see what I want to do in 2023. I don't really have any specific plans, and I mean, like my mic's a little bit muffled. I've been having some issues with it recently. The way you're looking at me now is through a Logitech C920, which is like the HyperX Cloud 2s of webcams, right? Yeah, the production quality could be a lot better. The editing style might be different. I'm not quite sure. I've been watching a lot of small-ish to actually quite large YouTube channels, right? But that all have really amazing visuals, and I kind of want to incorporate that in my videos going into next year. Even though I don't really have any idea what I'm doing, even as I'm recording this video, it'd be kind of cool. I've been watching I've been watching Fault Lines recently, which was just a very small channel, and although they are a team of people, the production quality there, the editing style, the shots that they take, I think is really, really nice. And while it's a completely different genre of content, right, it's still something that I'd like to kind of incorporate in my videos and maybe nail down or define a bit more the style of video that I want to create, and then how I can incorporate more interesting visual elements, right? Another channel I've watched a lot of is Abroad in Japan, and the YouTuber Chris is honestly a really amazing videographer, right? The kind of shots that he takes when he's traveling Japan, or even just a lot of like the footage that he puts in the back of his videos and stuff like that is really, really nice. And while sure, he's much more experienced than I am, you got to start somewhere. And so going into 2023, maybe that's something I'll look to do. I don't have like a defined schedule for the amount of content or exactly what type of content I want to do next year, but I'd like to do a bit more and maybe be a bit more experimental with it, with the video editing style, and maybe the kinds of shots that I'll put in as well. But ultimately, not too sure. Just like thoughts I have right now. I guess another thing that I did this year was joining Blix, which is an outlet created by Innershine, who's Face Clan's analyst. And to that, I have to say, massive thank you to Slava for bringing me in. While I've not ultimately done all too much with them this year because I'm on a freelance basis and I've been juggling a bunch of other stuff, it has given me an opportunity to do some editing, and do some freelance writing as well, and also work with some really nice and talented people, namely my former coworker from We Play Arseni, and Rafinha, a Portuguese reporter who started in esports around the same time I did. So it's been great to kind of like finally get the opportunity to work with him directly. And also, I mean, I've bothered Slava a bunch of times asking questions about Team CS and stuff like that. He's always been very patient with me and always getting back to me and allowing me to pick his brain a little bit. So that's been like a really good opportunity. I'm super grateful to him for bringing me in. Another thing I guess I kind of did throughout this year was, I guess, start out my own coaching career, where I went to Canada for 2 weeks, and when I came back, I decided like, fuck it, why not? Like, let's jump into it. It's something I always kind of wanted to do. I gave up on a playing career quite a few years ago because I felt like it was no longer realistic. But coaching is still something that always interested me because I've always loved the team aspect to Counter Strike. And while I'm not, individually a great player anymore, I still feel as though I have a lot to offer, with my understanding of Counter-Strike. So when I came back, one of my coworkers from Blix was saying, "Oh, well, hey, we're looking maybe for a coach or something for our open team." So we decided to make it happen. I helped them out for towards the end of their season. Um, it was a good opportunity to kind of like get an understanding of the grassroots, the base level of CS:GO over here in Europe, because it was my first team experience here. And for an ESEA Open team, honestly, I was really impressed. Ultimately, I don't feel as though I really made too much of an impact or a difference with them. You know, I was able to provide maybe some input and give some different like insights and stuff like that, but it still like felt like okay, it was just a good like baseline to feel like okay, this is how things kind of work here, and also understand what information is useful or isn't useful to give to a team, because I felt like a lot of stuff, you know, maybe sometimes I gave them too much stuff that like they couldn't really decipher. It doesn't really mean anything. So ultimately, a really good experience there. Thank you to Addy for bringing me in. Is a good experience. You know, I met some nice people there. And then from there, I ended up joining the Prodigies for ESEA season 42 as an assistant coach and analyst. And well, I guess everything didn't go exactly to plan for the season. I'm still very thankful to Jerome for bringing me in, being part of the scouting process initially, which is something that I've been a huge fan of. If you know me at all, you'll know that, you know, scouting out CS:GO players from smaller regions or, you know, really on the come up is what I love doing. And so to be able to be involved in creating a team from scratch and give my input and, oh, this player's really good, or I think we should bring him into the trials, was honestly really nice because I discovered a bunch of new players or was able to see them in a different light. And I met some really great friends once the team was assembled, right? Patrick, as well as Tim, Straxy, Nolan, Sibus, Mihai, right? Like awesome people that I will cherish for the rest of my life. You know, I think I've made some lifelong friends in that team. And yeah, everything didn't go exactly to plan throughout the season, but I still think overall it was a massive positive. Um, we had some issues with like scheduling for some of the coaching staff because of the fact that we weren't full time. You know, it was like a volunteer basis essentially, and it made it a little difficult throughout the season because I kind of signed on to be just an assistant coach and analyst. You know, on a part time basis, able to kind of just sit in, absorb the information, and you know learn from the other coaches as well as some of the players, but also like give my input and my feedback and my perspective on things because you know, I still think despite my lack of experience I had a pretty good brain for CS. Um, and you know ultimately yeah, I had to step in as an interim coach for some officials. I had to, you know, be there for full prac days and make some of the schedules and stuff like that. Like it was a big learning experience ultimately, and I think that's one of the big positives. And while I'm a little disappointed, I guess, with the bittersweet way that the season ended, we still placed second for our first season. And yeah, it's intermediate, but we lost to honestly a really good team, Katuna, you know, a bunch of promising Bulgarian players who pretty established, all things considered. Um, so I think, yeah, placing second, while it sucks that we didn't make advanced, I think it was a really good opportunity, especially considering everything that went on with the coaching staff. The fact that we were able to do that, I think, is still just a really great achievement. And I'm honestly thankful to everybody I met there. Um, I guess from there as well, I also ended up doing a lot of interviews for We Play Academy League for season 5 and season 6. I think I conducted like 19 interviews in total, which probably find in the description if I remember to add it. But yeah, I think it's a really good opportunity to be able to kind of do some on camera work, even though it wasn't live or anything like that. Because I've done a bunch of written interviews in the past, right? It's not too dissimilar. I go into a call with somebody, you know, I record the whole thing, and then I transcribe the interview and post it. But to be able to, you know, actually do it with a webcam and all that, it was a different experience. And then, yeah, I was a little nervous at first, but um, ultimately, I think it went quite well. I got to interview some really great, phenomenal up and coming players like Headtrick, Nipple, Marix, right? As well as some really great coaches like Tobiz, Mither, Whitey. So I think overall it was a really nice experience. You know, you don't really get to know too much about up and coming players outside of whatever they might post on their Twitter feeds. So it was honestly quite nice to ask them questions about their personal life or how they view CS, or you know, get to know them a little bit better. As well as, you know, picking the coaches' brains. How do you assemble the team? How do you make sure to pass on experienced up and coming players? Overall, I'd say it was a really positive experience, and I'm really happy that it was something that I was able to do. And who knows what happens in 2023? I mean, I'd definitely be open to doing some on-camera work, whether it's as a sideline interviewer or maybe even try my hand at commentating. Right, I might try casting some advanced or something like that. Although I'll have to learn a whole new skill set because that's a completely different thing. But we'll see. I think it was a good opportunity, a nice thing to kind of explore and try out for this year. So after I left the Prodigies, then I guess is around the time that I joined Entropic Prague, which was a big step up, and I'm really thankful to Mozzie and Feed for bringing me in. Initially, I was a little bit like, oh man, I'm like, I'm not quite sure I'm on those same wavelengths as a lot of these guys because I mean, say just the experience that Lecker has as a player is completely outweighs any experience that I have. But within like 3 weeks to a month, I felt like I'd pretty much caught on quite quickly. The whole initial period is just okay. Who are these players? How do they like to play the game? Is this guy quite aggressive? Is my opera more supportive? What kind of utility do they throw? Are they as a team? Do they play more default heavy? Do they tend to do more executes? Is it a lot of mid round calls? A lot of stuff that you have to learn. You learn their strat book, how they like to play, who the players are, and ultimately, yeah, within 3 weeks to a month, I felt like I was honestly kind of, I was able to keep up with them, and I think that was really a good experience and opportunity. And I'm quite proud of myself for that because there's a huge experience gap, but I was able to like bring in new pistol round strats that the players were really interested in. Oh, new mid round defaults, and then I was able as well to kind of give my own input on like anti-stratting and format it in a way that the players would understand it was actually crucial, important information. And a lot of that I owe to Feed for passing on that knowledge, how to like really format things, what is and isn't important, teaching me sort of the basics of CS in a way. And honestly, super thankful to Feed. He's a phenomenal coach. Honestly, I'm not sure how he's not in tier one given his experience, but also just his understanding of the game is just I don't know, it's just so good. I think he's one of the greatest coaches there is, and I will not stand for any Feed slander. But yeah, should be in tier one in a matter of time. Is honestly great coach, and thank you again to Feed for bringing me in. And I guess that brings us sort of to now 2023. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with coaching yet, because I've recently left Entropic due to a difference in vision for the long term of the project. I'm not going to share any more details because it's not made public quite yet, but ultimately, still very thankful for that opportunity. And I'm just kind of exploring what there is for 2023. I'm still looking to be an assistant coach or analyst. In the future, I want to transition to being a head coach, but that's not exactly my goal for right now. I still feel like I want to learn more from somebody else, right? Still have the opportunity to learn under somebody else because in the future I want to be, I guess, as like a medium term goal, I'd like to be an academy coach, right? The head coach for an academy, because it kind of falls in line with what I've done at WePlay, what I've done at the Prodigies, and what I've kind of done for my entire career, even lack of, before a career in esports, is discovering up and coming players, right? I want to be able to give opportunities to players who might not otherwise get them, but who have the potential, who have the talent, who have the work ethic to really get there, right? Because I feel like when I was, a teenager, I wasn't in a position where I could do that. And with everyone that I've met this year passing on all this knowledge to me, I want to be able to do the same, right? Teach the fundamentals to these really great players and see them flourish into the Frozens and Rops of tomorrow. So that's kind of like the medium term goal, but before that I want to get a bit more experience under somebody else to be able to really feel like, I mean, I'm confident in my ability, but I still feel like I'm not satisfied with where I'm at. So before I want to take on that next challenge, I want just a bit more experience to be able to kind of round everything out. And then I guess the long-term goal for my coaching would be eventually to move back to Canada and make a full Canadian team because, with NAF, Twists, even great callers like Daps and Stanislaw, right? Canadian players have always been on predominantly American teams. You never get a full Canadian team with 5 Canadians. You rarely even get a core of 3. And sure, one of the big reasons for that is the population disparity between the US and Canada, right? A much more populated country. But, I still feel like there's a bit of a stigma about esports and CSGO potentially as well back in Canada. And I feel like in a few years, whenever I do end up moving back, which is not in the cards for now, or at least not in the plans, um, I want to be able to, yeah, pass on my knowledge, everything that I've learned over in Europe, and really maybe make a difference, create my own generation of Canadian talents, sort of like Wonder Kids in France, right? With like Flexor uh, developing, Python, like Vera, Kyojin, Masuta, right? Like all these like really talented, touted as the next generation of French players. I think it'd be cool to do something like that over in Canada. But anyways, that's a long-term goal. Not quite sure it's on the cards for now. And yeah, then I guess another thing I did this year was podcasts. I appeared on Tier 2 Talk with Wagon Retro, as well as the CS Out Here podcast from Nart. And those were both really great opportunities. Definitely be open to doing more of that in 2023. Um, I guess, yeah, that kind of brings us to, I'm pretty sure, everything I've done this year. uh, yeah, I'm not quite sure what 2023 holds for me quite yet. Obviously, as of right now, it's the holiday period, so finding a new team's a bit up in the air. I'm in talks with some people, but most people have gone on break now, so it'll kind of have to wait until January. But we'll see. I'm still exploring my opportunities. As I said, I want to like get some more experience as an assistant coach, predominantly, but as an analyst as well, obviously, to kind of feel more confident in myself. And maybe in 2023 will be when I end up taking on a proper head coach position. We'll see. I'm not quite sure yet, but for now, the focus is just getting a bit more experience so that I feel a bit more satisfied with the level I'm at. Because I mean, I'm always eternally unsatisfied with where I'm at, but I want to be able to kind of give back a bit more in the future. Uh, I want to do some more YouTube content, as I kind of mentioned. Not sure what that'll look like exactly. Maybe I'll try to set myself a schedule of at least a video a month or something like that, and just have more fun with the editing side of things. Um, and still try to provide unique insight or information, but really make it a more visually exciting format. We'll see. I guess one of the most important factors with YouTube, anyways, if I want to take it more seriously, is to just pump out content. But uh, it's not exactly my priority for now. I think I just want to kind of have fun with it and explore it as a hobby, and we'll see where it takes me. I want to do a bit more writing as well because I've had like the creative itch, but it's just been a bit hard to get back into it. I've had a few pieces that I've been working on that I'm not exactly sure how to finish sometimes because I just get overly critical with myself. But um, should expect some more content in the new year. Um, and we'll see as well. Like as I believe I mentioned earlier, I'm totally open to some on-air opportunities as well, whether it's just sideline interviews and stuff like that post match, right? I'd love to do something like that. But anyways, the whole point of this video really was to just kind of acknowledge what I've done, maybe inspire you to do the same, because I think it's been a challenging year for a lot of people, but it's important to feel proud in everything we've done. Um, and yeah, happy, New Year, happy holidays to everybody out there. I hope that you're having a good one. I hope 2023 will be a successful year for all of us. And just again, a massive thank you to everybody who's supported me this year, whether it's coworkers, teammates, their coaches, my friends, my family. I wouldn't be here without you. It's been a hard year, but I'm still ultimately very happy with everything that I've accomplished, and you should be too. But anyways, that's everything for me for 2022. I'll see you guys in the new year, and have a good one. Bye.